I never expected to come face to face with the sister who betrayed me at her own wedding. Yet here I stand frozen in the Lakeshore Grand Hotel ballroom, my champagne glass tilting precariously in my suddenly numb fingers. Erin's hand presses gently against my lower back, our 7-year-old Ethan fidgeting beside us, blissfully unaware of the bomb that's just detonated in my carefully constructed life. "Camille, are you okay?" Erin whispers, but his voice sounds distant, underwater. Across the room, Elena stands like a vision in white silk and lace, my sister, the bride, her face draining of color as our eyes lock. 12 years vanish in an instant. The last time I saw her, she was perched on the staircase of our family home, watching silently as I packed my belongings in the biting darkness of a December snowstorm. The crystal flute wobbles in my grip. I steady it with deliberate focus, willing my racing heart to slow. Dr. Harmon's invitation sits like lead in my evening clutch. "Just a colleague's daughter getting married," he'd said with a smile. "Good networking opportunity." Never mentioning the bride's name, never knowing the connection. Elena's new husband, Marcus, according to the elegant calligraphy on the place cards, watches her with growing confusion as whispers ripple through the crowd. The perfect fairy tale moment fracturing before his eyes. Memory floods back with brutal clarity. My father's face, flushed with anger 12 years ago, pointing toward the door as snow pelted the windows. "If you're too good to help this family, you're not part of it anymore." All because I refused to falsify Medicare claims at their clinic. My mother standing beside him, arms crossed, her silence a secondary betrayal. "Get out," he'd spat. "Your morals won't keep you warm tonight." And Elena, 19 then, watching from the shadows as I dragged my suitcase through knee-deep snow, not a word of protest crossing her lips. Elena recovers first, whispering something to Marcus before making a beeline toward me, her wedding gown billowing behind her like a storm cloud. "You need to leave now," she hisses when she reaches me, her smile painfully fixed for the benefit of nearby guests. "Mom and Dad will be here any minute." I take a deliberate sip of champagne, meeting her gaze over the rim of my glass. "I was invited by Dr. Harmon. I have every right to be here." My hand steadies as the initial shock recedes. I'm not that frightened 22-year-old anymore, stumbling through a blizzard with nowhere to go. "Camille, please." Elena's voice cracks slightly. "Not today." Before I can respond, a hand touches my shoulder. "Miss Whitford, what an honor to see you here." "Doctor." Jenkins from Memorial Hospital beams at me. "Everyone, this is the woman revolutionizing patient monitoring." Her system caught my father's heart irregularity before anyone else could see it. Another doctor joins us. "VitaSure's new algorithms have cut our response time by 40%. Incredible work." Elena's carefully constructed narrative is visibly crumbling around her. The failed sister, the family disappointment, the lies she's clearly been telling for years. Her eyes dart toward the entrance, panic rising. "They're going to be here soon," she whispers, almost to herself. "Who's that lady, Mommy?" Ethan tugs at my hand, pointing to Elena. I crouch down, smoothing his perfectly combed hair. "That's your Aunt Elena." "I have an aunt?" His eyes widen with childlike wonder. "You do." I rise slowly, squaring my shoulders. The weight of eyes on us feels like a physical pressure, but I refuse to shrink beneath it. Elena's gaze flicks between my face and the doors as they swing open. A silent plea in her eyes that I recognize from childhood, the look that always preceded someone else taking the fall for her mistakes. Not this time. I've spent 12 years building something honest, something real, a life where I don't have to compromise my integrity to belong. The doors open wider, revealing the familiar silhouettes of my parents, and I stand my ground. Fragments of conversation float past as I weave through wedding guests toward the bathroom. Elena's Stanford medical background. Her research fellowship was groundbreaking. Each word lands like a physical blow. I push through the heavy bathroom door, grateful to find it empty. The cool marble countertop steadies me as waves of nausea rise and fall. My reflection stares back composed on the surface, while something fundamental fractures beneath. The door swings open. Aaron's concerned eyes meet mine in the mirror. "You okay?" His voice echoes softly against the tile. "Just needed a minute." I straighten, reaching for composure like a familiar coat. Aaron moves closer, hesitation in his stance. "I've been talking to some of the guests. Did you know Elena used your college fund? All $68,000 your grandparents left you." The room tilts slightly. "What?" "According to Marcus's cousin, Elena told everyone you failed in life while she was building her prestigious career with your money. A laugh escapes me, hollow and strange. My failure funded her success. There's more. Erin's jaw tightens. She's been positioning herself as a medical expert, claiming knowledge of monitoring systems suspiciously similar to Vitashure's algorithms. The pieces click together with terrible clarity. Not just my money, my entire identity, stolen and repurposed. All those years I thought she was just a silent witness. My voice sounds distant to my own ears, but she was the architect. When we return to the reception, dinner is being served. Elena sits at the place of honor, radiant in white, while we're relegated to a distant table with distant connections, the miscellaneous guests no one quite remembers inviting. Marcus's father raises his glass toward Elena. I hear you've been working with those remarkable Vitashure monitoring algorithms. Revolutionary technology. What can you tell us about them? The table falls silent. Elena's smile doesn't falter as she launches into an explanation so technically incorrect it makes my teeth ache. The primary interface uses quadratic equations to predict cardiac anomalies, she states confidently. The proprietary coding relies on advanced machine learning that I helped refine during my fellowship. Erin's hand finds mine beneath the table, squeezing gently. A silent question. Will you let this stand? Asterisk. I stand slowly, my chair scraping against the floor. Actually, Vitashure's algorithms use logarithmic pattern recognition, not quadratic equations. Every head turns. The system identifies 27 unique patterns in patient vitals before flagging potential issues. My voice grows stronger with each word. And while machine learning is integral to our approach, the proprietary aspects involve real-time adaptive monitoring that evolves with each patient's baseline. The silence deepens as recognition spreads across faces. I'm Camille Whitford, Vitashure's CEO and developer. I offer a professional smile. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Marcus watches the exchange with growing intensity, his eyes darting between his new wife and me as connections visibly form in his mind. Later, between dinner and dancing, Elena corners me near a towering floral arrangement, her voice a furious whisper, wedding gown rustling like angry wings. You're trying to ruin the most important day of my life. I'm attending a wedding I was invited to. You're the one who built a life on lies. Our parents' clinic depends on my professional reputation. Her fingers clutch her bouquet so tightly the stems might snap. I've worked hard to establish connections with every major hospital in the region. Connections built on stories about me? Her eyes narrow. You have no idea how things work in this industry. Your company has contracts with those same hospitals. Family connections can damage those relationships. The implicit threat hangs between us. You abandoned us, Elena hisses. I did what I had to do. I shake my head, understanding washing over me. You still think I owe loyalty to people who threw me out during a snowstorm? Just leave and we can forget this happened. Her voice cracks slightly. Please, Camille. Before I can respond, a voice interrupts. Camille Whitford? Marcus approaches with deliberate steps. I'd like to properly introduce myself. Your monitoring system saved my grandfather last year. He extends his hand. I'm curious about your company's approach to predictive analytics. The technology is fascinating. Something shifts in the air as he asks pointed questions about Vitashure, genuine interest underlaid with growing suspicion as he glances toward Elena. As I watch Marcus connect the inconsistencies in Elena's stories, I face a choice. Should I expose every lie my sister had told about me over the years, or maintain dignity through selective truth? The temptation to unload 12 years of hurt was powerful, but would that make me like them, willing to destroy others to protect myself? My answer waits on the tip of my tongue, suspended between vengeance and grace. 10 minutes later, I watch my parents sweep into the ballroom like royalty arriving at court, my father's hand protectively guiding my mother forward. Their eyes scan the room with practiced smiles until they lock onto me. The transformation is immediate. My mother's face hardens while my father leans to whisper something to a nearby guest, his gaze never leaving mine. Within minutes, the whispers spread like wildfire. Such a shame about their older daughter. A woman in a beaded dress murmurs to her companion. Mental health issues, I hear. Always jealous of Elena's success, another adds, loud enough to ensure I overhear. The guests who had gathered around me earlier begin to drift away, offering polite excuses. One woman actually pats my arm with pitying eyes before departing. Erin appears at my side, his jaw tight. The Sanford group just pulled me aside, he says quietly. They're reconsidering our partnership. Something about concerns over working with a family with such obvious issues. Across the room, Elena catches my eye and smiles the same triumphant smile she wore when our parents gave her my bedroom after I left, claiming she needed the space more. They're good at this, I mutter. Always have been. My throat tightens as memories surface not of the night I left, but of what came after. The part no one in this room knows. 3 jobs. That's what it took to keep a roof over my head while attending community college. Opening the coffee shop at 5 a.m., rushing to my hospital reception desk job by noon, then data entry until midnight. My textbooks propped against the coffee machine during slow moments, highlighter in hand. I remember falling asleep during my physiology final, my head hitting the desk with a thud that made the entire class turn. The professor's pitying look as he told me I'd need to repeat the semester. That first Christmas alone still burns in my memory. A microwave dinner in my rented room, scrolling through social media posts of classmates surrounded by family, blinking back tears while pretending it didn't matter. What no one here understands is that Vitasure wasn't born from privilege, but desperation. An elderly patient coded while I was working reception, the monitoring system failing to alert nurses until too late. I sketched the first algorithm for my monitoring system on the back of a time card that night, convinced there had to be a better way. Aaron found me 6 months later, hunched over that same sketch at the hospital cafeteria during my break. He was a second-year resident then, exhausted but brilliant. When everyone else called my idea impossible, he invested his meager salary into our first prototype. Mrs. Whitford? The voice takes me back to the present. I turn to find Dr. Harmon approaching, champagne glass raised. Several other doctors join him, forming a protective semicircle around us. To the woman who proved that integrity and innovation can coexist, he announces, his voice carrying across the room, and whose system saved my mother's life last year. The doctors raise their glasses. I notice my father's scowl deepening. Thank you, I say, warmth spreading through my chest for the first time since arriving. The moment shatters when my mother appears beside me, her pearls gleaming under the chandelier light. We stand near a large window where snow has begun to fall, an echo of that December night 12 years ago. You always had to make everything about yourself, didn't you? She hisses, her smile firmly fixed for anyone watching, even your sister's wedding day. I take a slow breath. I'm just existing, Mother. Elena is the one who built her life on lies about mine. Her eyes narrow. We gave Elena your college money because she deserved it. She was going places. The words land like a physical blow, but instead of crumbling, I feel something shift inside me. My back straightens. And I went places anyway, without your help. I reply, my voice steady. That's what really bothers you, isn't it? Her face pales. For the first time in my life, my mother has no ready response. Aaron steps forward, placing a protective hand on my lower back. Mrs. Whitford, I don't believe we've been formally introduced. I'm Aaron Whitford, the man who had the good sense to recognize your daughter's brilliance when everyone else was too blind to see it. Ethan peers around my legs, looking up at the grandmother he's never met. Mommy, is this another new person? Yes, sweetie, I say, running my hand through his soft hair. The contrast strikes me like lightning, this small, genuine family we've built versus the toxic facade I escaped. Ethan's complete trust, Aaron's unwavering support, the love that flows between us without manipulation or conditions. My mother stares at Ethan, something unreadable flickering across her face. For a moment I glimpse what might be regret. He has your eyes, she whispers. He has my heart too, I reply, something you never wanted. I stand taller now, speaking with a confidence that comes from knowing exactly who I am. The scared young woman who stumbled through the snow is gone. In her place stands someone who built something lasting, something true. Aaron, I say quietly, would you get our coats? I think we've been here long enough. As Aaron nods and moves toward the coat check, I notice Marcus approaching, his expression serious. Camille, he says, before you leave, could I have a word? My mother glances between us, suddenly wary. Of course, I reply. As Marcus leads me away, I reach into my purse, fingers closing around an envelope bearing Vitasure's logo. I've been carrying it all evening, Uncertain if I would use it, now I know. I walk toward Elena, the envelope firm in my grip, ready to end this chapter on my terms. I approach Elena with measured steps, my shoulders squared and chin lifted slightly. The whispers surrounding us fade into background noise as I maintain unwavering eye contact with my sister. Her wedding gown catches the light, transforming her into a vision that doesn't match the turmoil I see flickering behind her eyes. "Congratulations on your marriage, Elena," I say, my voice steady and genuinely warm. "I wish you and Marcus every happiness." Confusion crosses her face, the furrow between her brows deepening as I reach into my clutch and withdraw a cream-colored envelope bearing the Vitasure logo. "Something to start your new life with." I continue, extending it toward her. No strings attached. Elena hesitates before accepting it, her fingers trembling slightly. She opens the envelope, her eyes widening as she unfolds the stock certificate inside $15,000 in Vitasure shares. The exact amount wouldn't cover what was taken from me, but the symbolism matters more than the figure. "I don't understand," she whispers. "You don't need to," I reply. "It's yours." A flash of comprehension crosses her features, followed quickly by something that looks remarkably like shame. Her perfect makeup can't conceal the flush creeping up her neck. "I don't need your charity or your forgiveness," Elena announces loudly enough for nearby guests to hear, thrusting the envelope back toward me. Several heads turn our way. A woman in a burgundy cocktail dress leans toward her companion, eyebrows raised. "Forgiveness?" Marcus steps closer, his attention suddenly focused on our exchange. "What would Camille need to forgive you for, Elena?" My sister's mouth opens, then closes without sound. Father appears at Elena's elbow, his tuxedo immaculate but his face flushed with poorly concealed anger. "Camille is attempting to buy her way back into the family," he announces with forced joviality. "Always thinking money solves everything." The words hang in the air, an unintended invitation to questions. Marcus tilts his head, gaze sharpening. "Buy her way back? Why would she need to do that?" His voice carries just enough for neighboring tables to hear. Mother appears on Elena's other side, placing a warning hand on Father's arm. Too late. Guests exchange glances, connecting dots I never had to explicitly draw. As I prepare to leave the reception, I wonder, is walking away without exposing their lies an act of wisdom or weakness? Would truth spoken aloud free others from their manipulation? Or would silence better protect the life I'd built beyond their reach? Aaron materializes at my side, Ethan's hand in his. "The car's ready whenever you are," he murmurs, his free hand finding the small of my back, a gesture of support that grounds me. "Doctor." Harmon and 3 colleagues form a casual but effective buffer between us and my parents, their conversation deliberately loud enough to interrupt any further confrontation. "Exciting times at Memorial with Vitasure's new monitoring implementation, Doctor," Harmon announces, his voice carrying. "The hospital board voted unanimously to expand the contract after those impressive results last quarter. Reduced response time by 40%, Dr. Jenkins adds, nodding in my direction. "Remarkable achievement, Camille." Ethan tugs at the sleeve of an elderly woman standing nearby. "My mommy makes things that help doctors save people," he announces with 7-year-old pride. "She stays up real late sometimes, making sure it works perfect." The woman smiles down at him, then glances toward me with newfound interest. Across the room, Elena's carefully composed bridal persona crumbles visibly as Marcus leads her away from the center of attention. Their whispered conversation appears tense, his gestures becoming increasingly emphatic while she repeatedly shakes her head. Father attempts to interject himself into a conversation between Dr. Harmon and another hospital administrator, only to be politely acknowledged and then seamlessly excluded as the discussion returns to technical specifics of patient monitoring systems. I gather my son and husband with my eyes, signaling it's time for us to make our exit. As we move toward the door, a hand lightly touches my elbow. "A moment?" Marcus asks quietly. He slips something into my palm, his business card. When I turn it over, I find 3 words written in precise handwriting. "We should talk." I tuck the card into my purse and nod once, understanding passing between us, without further explanation needed. The truth has its own momentum. Sometimes all you need to do is stop hiding it. I never expected Elena to show up at my office a month after her wedding. Yet here she stands, fidgeting in the doorway, dressed in a cream Chanel suit that probably cost more than my first car. The pristine white walls of my corner office seem to shrink around her, highlighting the nervous way she clutches her designer purse. "Can I come in?" Her voice lacks the confidence she displayed at the wedding. Without waiting for my answer, she glides across the polished floor, taking in the view of the city skyline through floor-to-ceiling windows. "What brings you here, Elena?" I remain seated behind my desk, watching her catalog my success, the industry awards lined on shelves, the framed Time magazine feature calling Betrayal the future of patient care. She turns, rehearsed smile in place. "I've been thinking about us, about family." Her fingers trace invisible patterns on my desk. "I never knew about the college fund, Camille. That was Mom and Dad's decision, not mine." I say nothing, just fold my hands and wait. "Can't we just move forward as sisters?" Her voice rises an octave, the way it always did when she lied as a child. "Family should stick together, right? All this ancient history shouldn't keep us apart." When I remain silent, her composure cracks. Marcus is asking questions about the clinic's finances, about my credentials. She leans forward, desperation seeping through her perfect facade. "You wouldn't want to destroy our parents' legacy, would you? After everything they built?" The question hangs between us like smoke. I open my desk drawer and withdraw a folder that's been waiting there since the day after the wedding. "I've kept records of everything, Elena." Her eyes widen as I spread the contents across my desk. Newspaper clippings of Betrayal's milestones, my community college transcripts showing a 3.9 GPA while working full-time, receipts from the coffee shop, the hospital front desk, the data entry service, all 3 jobs I juggled to survive. Mrs. Abernathy, 84, charged for an arterial stent she never received. I tap a highlighted medical record. Mr. Sanderson, 91, billed for weekly physical therapy he was too ill to attend. Elena pales. "How did you?" "I remember every patient, Elena. I was the one who processed their paperwork before I refused to keep falsifying claims." I close the folder. I didn't build Betrayal to get revenge. I built it to protect patients from people like our parents. She sinks into the chair across from me, mascara smudging beneath her right eye. "You don't understand what it's been like, living up to their expectations. Your husband contacted me 2 weeks ago." The words land like stones. "He's already discovered everything." Her mouth opens, closes, opens again. The expensive suit suddenly seems too large for her frame. I slide a document across the polished desk, her Stanford transcript showing administrative withdrawal rather than graduation. "Where did you get that?" Her voice barely registers above a whisper. "I didn't. Your husband did. He's been investigating since the wedding." I look out at the city where I once walked streets alone in the snow, wondering where I'd sleep. When Marcus asked me direct questions, I wouldn't lie, but I also refused to help his investigation. "You had no right." Her voice breaks. "You had no right to destroy my marriage. You destroyed it yourself, Elena, with every lie you told." I meet her gaze steadily. "Just like you knew about the college fund. You knew they took my future to give you yours." Tears spill down her cheeks, smearing expensive makeup. "What was I supposed to do? Say no? They would have cut me off too. You could have reached out, once, in 12 years. The calm in my voice surprises even me. "I was afraid." Her shoulders collapse. "I knew I could never measure up to what you accomplished on your own. It was easier to pretend you failed." I watch her cry the sister who once shared my bedroom, who knew all my childhood secrets, who stood silently on the stairs as I was cast out into the snow. "I'm not going to expose you, Elena." The words come from a place beyond anger. "That's not who I am, but I won't protect you from the consequences of your choices either." She looks up, mascara tracking dark rivers down her cheeks. "What does that mean?" "It means Marcus has already filed an anonymous report about Medicare fraud at the clinic." I say it gently, like removing a bandage. "The investigation starts next week." Her face collapses. "Mom and Dad will lose everything." "Probably." I don't sugarcoat it. "The question is, will you choose loyalty to them or to the truth? Because Marcus seems like a man who values honesty above all else." Elena stares at her hands, at the massive diamond that suddenly seems like a weight rather than a prize. I reach into my drawer and pull out a business card, sliding it across to her. When you're ready to build a life based on truth, call me." She takes it with trembling fingers, looks at it like it's written in a language she can't quite read. "Why would you help me after everything?" "Because 12 years ago, I had to build a life from scratch, with no one to call." I stand, signaling our time is done. "I wouldn't wish that on anyone, not even you." She clutches the card like a lifeline as she walks toward the door, stopping with her hand on the knob. "I never hated you, Camille. I just couldn't face who I became without you." After she leaves, I stand at the window watching pedestrians 30 floors below, tiny figures moving through lives I'll never know. I wonder which direction Elena will choose at her own crossroads, the comfortable lie or the painful truth. Either way, I'm finally free. 6 months after the wedding, I stand at the podium of Westlake Community College's auditorium, gripping the edge slightly as I gaze out at the sea of expectant faces. My fingers brush against the worn wooden surface, where I once balanced coffee trays during my years as a struggling student. Today, I'm honored to announce the Whitford First Gen Scholarship, I say, my voice carrying through the space without a tremble. 25 students without family support will receive full tuition and mentorship through VitaSure's education initiative. The applause washes over me like warm sunshine. In the front row, Aaron beams with pride while Ethan fidgets with his tie, offering a thumbs up that makes my heart swell. Sometimes in life, we face people who burn bridges. I continue, meeting the eyes of students who remind me so much of myself a decade ago. But that doesn't stop us from building new ones, stronger ones. Later that evening, as winter announces its arrival with the season's first snowfall, I sit by our living room window, watching white flakes dance in the glow of streetlights. The irony doesn't escape me how snow once symbolized my exile, but now brings a peaceful stillness I've come to cherish. The mail sits beside me, sorted except for one cream-colored envelope bearing Elena's handwriting. I tear it open slowly, bracing for accusations or manipulations that don't come. Instead, her confession fills 3 pages of careful script. "I overheard them planning to cut you out," she writes. "Dad told Mom they had to choose between us because you would outshine me if they supported you both." I stayed silent that night, and every night after, carrying the weight of knowing what they took from you to give to me. The letter trembles in my hands, but not from anger. Something softer unfurls in my chest, pity for the woman who spent 12 years living someone else's dream, trapped by lies too tangled to escape. Sunday afternoon brings warmer weather and the small gathering we'd planned in our backyard. Aaron tends the grill while Dr. Harmon regales Ethan with stories of when your mom saved her first patient with that brilliant system of hers. We gather around our patio table as Aaron raises his glass. "To the family we choose," he says, eyes crinkling at the corners. "And to the truth we honor, Dr." Harmon adds, clinking his glass against mine. 2 weeks later, I spot her across the convention center at the Midwest Medical Technology Conference. Elena looks different in simple blue scrubs, her hair pulled back without pretense, sitting among entry-level coding specialists. No designer clothes, no practiced smile. Just a woman taking notes with fierce concentration. As she shuffles her papers, I notice the VitaSure internship application partially hidden beneath her notebook. Our eyes meet across the room, and after a moment's hesitation, she offers a small nod, not forgiveness, not reconciliation, but acknowledgement of truth. I return the gesture, continuing toward my keynote address. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. It's living well enough to offer others a second chance they may not deserve but might someday earn. As I watch my sister take her first honest steps toward a new life, I wonder, is forgiveness a gift we give others, or one we give ourselves by releasing the weight of justified resentment? What would you choose? The satisfaction of permanent distance, or the uncertain path of possible reconciliation?